take a moment just to get settled in there. And then landing the hands onto the thighs with the shoulders rolling back and down. With the hands on the thighs, this is a mudra called calm abiding. It's almost, you could relate it to the sense of putting the lid onto the top of the popcorn and just kind of letting yourself settle down and getting a sense of grounding. And from that grounding feeling, lifting up through the spine. Keep the gaze straight ahead. Relaxing the face, the forehead, the cheeks, the jaw. Let your teeth come slightly apart. And then just begin to notice your breathing. Your breath starts to get a little bit deeper and longer. See if you can just kind of keep it at your sort of normal pace. Soften it a little bit. And then to get it even a little bit more subtle, see if you can just notice the breath moving in and out of the nostril. And slowly moving out of that, just place your hands beside you and bring your legs forward. So I'm just going to quickly cover a few points that we're going to be touching on. And imagine that there's a midline coming down through the center of your mat, through the center of your body. And just let your feet go out to the side, but move your legs from the very top of the leg bone. So that's our external rotation we're going to focus on. And then bring your toes straight back up again, neutral. And now turn your toes in towards each other to that internal rotation. And then go back to neutral. And then just once more, we'll take it out, going from the very top of the leg bone to make the movement happen. And then straight up. And then internal, toes pointing in towards each other. And then just relax. And now completely relax your legs and kind of shake them out a little bit. And put one hand on one leg, doesn't matter which one, and just kind of squeeze your top thigh. And just notice that it's pretty relaxed there. And from there, put your hands, your fingers, your first finger and your thumb, just the very top of your knee bone. And make sure that your leg is super relaxed. And just very gently notice that the top of the knee bone, you can kind of move it side to side a little bit. So that everything is relaxed. All right, keep your finger and your thumb there and just let your hand rest on the thigh. Now just flex that leg, just flex the foot, but keep the heel on the ground. There's a little bit of tone that happened in the muscles. And now lift the heel. Can you feel that there's a tightening around the kneecap and that your quad, the front of the leg, got a little bit tight? And now lift the leg and there's even more muscular action happening there. Okay, and then we'll just lower that down. So that's the lifting of the kneecap. I'm going to use that cue. All right. And then from here, let's come on to a lunge position. Just put one foot forward. It doesn't matter which one. And we do this in our pigeon, but here we're just going to do the action in the lunge. you want to pull your front heel back and your back knee forward. And then get that scissor action of your legs, and the inner thighs start to kick in. And then if you can imagine also the sides of your hips, maybe just give them a little bit of a rub so you're familiar with them. Those two sides are kind of cinching in towards each other. It's pretty subtle, but it could be even just more in the mind that you're making those muscles work for you. Okay, from here, let's come to a forward fold. And then put your hands on your hips, bring your shoulder blades towards each other, and then just straighten yourself up to standing. And I'm just going to turn to the side. So when we were setting up for mounting before, place your hands in front of your thighs, and there's a sense of the front of the legs moving backwards, and we're just going to exaggerate it a little bit so that you're kind of sticking out your bum like a duck bum. And what that's going to do, like why we do that, is so we can activate those hip flexor muscles that attach the upper body to the lower body. But because we're kind of exaggerating it, we want to counter do that move. So you're going to tuck in your tummy, and you're going to lengthen your tailbone down, and you're going to tighten your kneecaps. And there you have your Tadasana pose. So there's lots of muscular action happening, even though it doesn't look like much is going on. Okay, let's come back down to the mat, hands and knees. So we'll keep all of that in mind as we go through the practice. Place your hands flat. And then without moving your fingers, you're going to just claw your fingers, the fingertips towards the palms of your hands. So the knuckles kind of lift a little bit, and you may notice there's a bit of a tone in your arms. So just kind of little things to kind of make the muscles engage. And then from there, let's take the knees wide apart and the toes together. Look forward, shift your hips towards your heels, and then push your hands forward, tuck in your tummy on an exhale to try to get your hips a little closer towards your heels. And then once you got that length, begin to relax your arms and walk your hands even further forward. You can let your forehead come down. Just take a couple of breaths in child's pose. Lift your head, look forward, come onto hands and knees again, tuck your toes. We're coming up for a downward facing dog. Make it a short dog. Take the feet wide and walk your feet forward a teeny bit towards your hands. Sometimes it's referred to as the bear pose. And from here, a little soft bend into the knees. Now from the very top of your leg bones, press the tops of your legs backwards towards the back of the room, at the same time trying to straighten out your legs and lifting your kneecaps. And on each exhale, maybe try to tuck in that tummy. Just trying to get a little bit more length through the spine. And there's also a sense of your hands pushing forward and the arms are really activated. Bring your feet closer together so they're more hip distance apart. Inhale to lift your right leg high. Look forward, send your right foot forward to a lunge position. Spin your back heel down. Grab a block, take it to the outside of your right foot. And now you're going to, your right foot is going to be at the top of the mat, say 12 o'clock. You're going to shift your body over to 11, 10 o'clock. And now, if you can, just a small movement as though your left leg can kind of shift backwards a little bit at the top of the leg, but then counterbalance that by tucking in your tummy and bring your tail underneath you. So it's, even though you went back, now you're also going forward. You're activating the muscle of the back leg. Lift up that kneecap on the back leg. Externally rotate that right knee. We're going to do that by lifting the right heel. And then you just move your right knee to the right a little bit. Put your heel back down. Very small movement. Now, with all of that activated, you're going to reach your arms over towards 10 o'clock and then keep reaching. Keep the tail underneath you, not sticking out like a ducktail. And breathing. You can think about your right hip muscles tucking in towards the midline. Lift your head. We're coming forward to the lunge, looking straight forward. And then turn your back toes forward. Go back to downward facing dog. Ready for the other side. Keep the feet hip distance apart. Lift that left leg high. Look forward. Step the left foot forward. Spin the right heel down. Hit your block to the side. We may or we may not use it. Shift your body over towards 2 o'clock with your left knee and left foot facing 12 o'clock. Put your right hand just at the very top of your right thigh. Just push it back a little bit, sticking out your bum. And now unstick your bum by tucking in your tummy and tucking your tail underneath you. So there's a little bit of a forward movement with the hips. And then lift your left heel. Little small rotation of the external rotation of that left leg. Put your heel back down to anchor that. And then reach over towards 2 o'clock. Tuck in the left hip as though it's coming to the midline. And bow your head and reach. Inhale, lift your head, look forward, start to walk your hands to the front of the mat, get your block out of the way, and go back to downward facing dog. Another lunge position. Inhale, lift your right leg high. Exhale, step your right foot forward, and then drop your left knee down. So you're going to go to about that 90-90 position. You can untuck that left toe. The block is going to come in handy here. You're going to shift your left hip back a little bit, tuck in your tummy, and then bring your elbows to the inside of that right foot. Can you bring your left elbow down? Maybe the right. You can do it without the block if you want to. Keep that right hip tucked in. The tailbone right underneath you, not sticking out. We're going to progress with this one. Start to lift your head, put your hands flat, tuck your back toe, lift up your back knee, wiggle the back foot forward, backward, tighten the kneecap on that left leg. And if you can, come down to one elbow, maybe two. And keeping that external rotation of that right leg. It's like your foot is kind of corkscrewing. Your toes are moving to the right, your heel is moving to the left, but nothing is actually moving. You're just getting that external, little teeny bit of external rotation of the thigh. And place your hands flat, look forward, go back to downward facing dog. Ready for the other side. Inhale, lift the left leg high, step the left foot forward, and then bring that right knee down to the ground. Shifting your hips back a little bit. Inhale here, exhale, tuck in your tummy, turn your tail towards the ground, both hands to the inside of the left foot, and then you can use your block here to bring your right elbow down and maybe your left. And can you feel a sense of your thigh bone externally rotating? So there's going to be a sense of the left hip tucking in as the knee tries to go towards the baby toe. Now let's slowly start to come up. Use your hands on the floor, tuck your right toes, lift up your right knee, wiggle that right foot back, really tighten that right kneecap, tuck in that left hip, keep the knee moving towards the baby toe, and then maybe you can come down to one elbow or two. And then start to lift yourself up, and we're going back to downward facing dog. Inhale, shift forward to the top of a push-up position. Tap your knees to the ground. Bring your belly all the way down. Let your feet come apart a little bit. Sweep your arms back. Take your hands behind you. Forehead to the ground. Roll your shoulders towards the ground. Now roll your shoulders up, back, and down as you lift your heart, but push your pelvis towards the ground. Lift your kneecaps. Push your feet to the ground. Tighten the glutes, tighten the thighs. And then slowly let that go, hand on the side, your ribs, tuck your toes, give yourself a push up to half push up, and then shift your hips back to sitting on your heels. Now we're going to work on the push up position, and we're with the push up. So your hands are going to be flat to the ground like this, but we're going to energetically move them out to the side and then down. But they're not actually going to move. I'm just going to use your muscles to make that move. Okay, let's go to half push up. You'll thank me for the half push up. So get your knees back, shoulders over the wrists. Tuck your tummy in so your tail points towards your heels. Keep your chest lifted. Keep the hands pressing down. So you're trying to push the floor away. And now pull your hands apart like you're trying to pull your mat apart. You might be able to feel your abs kick in a little. Now you're going to pull your heels of your hands towards your knees. You might feel it a little bit more. And then let's relax that and just sit back again. So when you're pulling your hands down, it's so you're trying to shift your body forward, but your abs are stabilizing you to keep you steady. Now we'll try that from full push-up. Come to hands and knees. First start with half. Tuck in that tummy. Turn the tail towards the back of the mat. Straighten out your left leg. Really tighten the kneecap. Straighten out the other leg. Tone everything. Pull your arms apart. Trying to rip the mat apart. And now pull your heels towards your toes. And can you even pull your toes towards your heels? Top properly. Hold. And then put your knees to the ground. And widen your knees. Sit your hips back to your heels for a little rest in child's pose. All right, look forward, coming forward. We're coming back to that locust position. Bring your knees together. Bring your belly down. Take your feet apart. Sweep your arms back beside you. Put your forehead down. Let your shoulders drop towards the ground. Clasp your hands, roll your shoulders up, back, and down, bringing the knuckles closer towards the feet. Anchor the hips towards the ground, tucking in the tummy, lengthening through the tail. Lift your legs from the top of your leg bones, tighten the legs, tighten the kneecaps, lift the arms, lift the chest, everything lifting. Keep the lift, let go of your hands, place them beside your chest, tuck your toes, keep the knees lifted, and then can you push yourself all the way up to a full plank position, and then hinge at the hip and go to downward facing dog. Make it the bear dog, take your feet wide, make it super spacious. Push your hands forward, tops of your legs are pushing backwards. Kneecaps can lift, belly tucks in. Start to walk your hands towards your feet. And then keep your arms reaching forward, as far forward as you possibly can. Fingertips on the ground. Bend your knees. And then straighten your legs, tightening the kneecaps, tuck in your tummy, and then let your head relax between your arms. And keep pulling your hips up and back, but keep pushing your fingertips down. Now start to walk your hands towards your feet. Put a bend into your knees. Put your hands on your hips. Bring your shoulder blades towards each other. Look to the top of the mat. And then spread your feet wide, left and right, to lift yourself all the way up. Come to standing. And then let's come to the middle of the mat. So this would be normally the time that we do sun salutations, but we're just going to skip right into standing poses. We're going to apply those principles. So take the feet wide apart and your arms apart. And where your wrists end, that's where the outside of your feet will begin. And that will just be kind of like a baseline. You can change a little bit if you want to. Turn your left foot in and turn your right foot to the short end of your mat. Put your hands on your hips. Bend your right knee. Lift your right heel a little bit. Can you externally rotate that right knee a little bit more towards the baby toe? And then put that heel back down. And then from this position, the right elbow on the knee. Send your left hip, top of the leg back a little bit. Tuck your tummy in to tuck the tail under you a little bit. Counter move. Tighten that left kneecap. Roll your ribs forward so that you're looking to the side. And then reach your left arm straight up. Keep all of that action happening. And you can think of your right sitting bone. It's directly underneath you. It lands to the ground and it would be in line with your right heel. Give you a sense of where your hip bone should be. The right hip tucking in and under. Back leg, the kneecap is lifted, tight and toned. To bring you up, really think about anchoring through the left foot. So give it a bit of a push and a reach with your left arm to come up, come back to that starting position. Turn your right toes in, turn your left toes straight towards the other end of the mat, and your right foot is coming in a teeny bit more. And first, just bend the knee and put the elbow onto the knee. Get ourselves adjusted here. Right hip bone moves back a teeny bit. Tuck in your tummy, tuck your tail under you to counterbalance that. Instead of lifting up the heel on the left foot, we're just going to see if we can just micro externally rotate that left thigh. And then from that position, reach your left arm up. Left hip tucking into the midline. Right kneecap lifting. To rise up, really push into your right foot and reach up through your right arm. Come on up, come back to center position. And now keeping your left foot as it is, turn your right foot straight ahead, hands to the hips. Just a slightly different way of doing triangle. If you find once you're in triangle, you want to adjust that back foot, you can. But for now, we're just going to have it straight edged. From triangle, put your hands very top of the leg bones to hinge forward. Lift up both of your kneecaps. The left thigh goes back a tiny bit. You tuck in your tummy, you tuck your tail under to counterbalance that, but all the muscles are now working. Place your right hand to the thigh, or if you got that block handy, you can take it to the block at any height. And then reach up, left hand. If you look at your left hand, it would be in line with your right hand. And pretty much over your mouth. So not reaching behind you, but over your mouth. Keep both of those kneecaps lifted. On the next breath, push into the left foot. Keep your hand on the block. Keep the block with you. Push into the left foot. Reach up through the left hand. Bring yourself back to center. Turn both of the feet forward. And then just turn your left foot to the front of the mat. Lift up your kneecaps. Let's switch the block. Put it to the outside of the foot. Hinge forward at the very top of the leg bone. And find your hand on your shin or your block. Right arm straight up. And just have a look at it. That it's going to be directly over your mouth. Lifting the kneecaps. Tucking the left hip in midline. So that the tailbone points straight down to the floor. Tummy tucked. Next breath, really push into that right foot, lift up through the right arm, bring your block with you. Let's come back up again, turn both of the feet forward, and then you can just place the block to the side. We're going to take a slightly different variation of that extended side angle. Arms reach out. Turn your left toes in, your right toes straight ahead. Bend your right knee. And hands to the hips, just so we can concentrate on the lower body for now. Elbow to the knee or hand to the block at any height. And you're going to position your arm and your leg against each other. And you press your leg, rotating it externally towards your arm. Get that very small movement. The foot stays steady. Back thigh goes back a tiny bit. The tummy tucks in to bring your tail underneath you. Bring your left hand to the side of your ear, and then you're going to extend it over the ear, straight over. And you might want to even maybe go widen your feet. You're going to move back leg. Tighten the kneecap on that back leg. Keep the right hip tucked in. Yes, beautiful. Very nice. Thinking about anchoring into that back foot again to reach your left arm up, bring you up, bring your block with you, turn your feet forward, switch your block to the other side. Right toes turn in, left toes turn out. Let's just first find the stance, hands to the hips, bending that left knee, the elbow on the knee or the block. Or if you can even take the hand to the ground, lining up the arm and the leg. Externally rotate that left thigh, just the slightest little movement, externally rotate it. Right hip bone goes back, right thigh bone, I should say, goes back. And then you're going to counterbalance, tucking in your tummy, tuck the tail under, tighten that right kneecap. Everything is toned. Right hand to the right ear, facing down, and then shoot that right arm over and straight over the ear. You want to widen your stance, move the back leg. Breathing steady. Press into that right foot, reach the right arm up, come one up, rise up, bring the block with you, and then just place the block to the side, hands to the hips. Let's step the feet forward just to give it a little bit of a break. And now we're going for a twisted triangle. Feet apart, not quite as wide as a warrior pose. Keep your left foot as it is. Turn your right foot forward, but wiggle your right foot over to the right a little bit. Me, I'm gonna angle my back foot because it just feels better in my hips. So feel free to do that if you want to. So put your hands onto the front of your hip bones and just notice that if you had lights on it, it'd be sort of shining towards 10 o'clock. Just an observation. Tighten up your kneecap on both of your legs. Turn your chest to face forward. Lift up, hands to the hips, and then hinging right at the very top of the leg bone, hinge forward. Place your block to the inside of the right foot or to the outside, whatever your body will allow. If you find you need a bit more space, I would say just move your right foot over to the right a little bit. And then externally rotate that right leg the tiniest bit. It's just going to happen in the thigh. Look towards your right, and then maybe your right arm can reach up. Steady breath. Really anchoring through the feet. Now look towards your right foot, put your right hand on the block, and then push into your feet to lift yourself up. And then we'll just quickly switch sides, shifting over to the other side. I'm going to move my foot a little over to the left, so it's more like a railroad track that I'm standing on. Put my block to the inside. Some folks might want it on the outside. Hands to the hips. Let's come on up. Roll your shoulders back, get that chest open. Lift the kneecaps. Hinge at the very top of the leg bone. Tucking that tummy, pointing your tail now towards the back of the mat. Hand lands to the block, either to the inside or the outside. Twist is coming from the upper body. Slowly look towards that left leg. I might have told you the wrong side on the other side. And then if your chest feels open enough, reach that left arm up. And then just notice what happens with that back leg. Sometimes it wants to kind of give in and bend. You tighten the kneecap. Look towards your left foot. We're coming out. Put your left hand on the hip. And then push into your feet to rise up. Come on up. Okay, good old-fashioned classic warrior one. Taking your feet a little bit wider, and then sweep your arms out to the side. Turn your palms up to open up your chest. Reach your arms up overhead, clasp your hands. First two fingers are going to point straight up. Turn your left foot in slightly, right foot straight ahead. Now here you'll notice your hip bones are kind of pointing towards 11 o'clock. That's okay, leave them there. The twist is going to happen in the upper body. Let's bend that front knee, lift the right heel the tiniest bit, externally rotate the thigh, put the heel back down, tuck in your tummy, turn your chest to face 12 o'clock, and then lift up your heart a little, really pressing back through that back leg, lifting that left kneecap. Inhale, straighten your front leg, let your body turn to the side, relax your arms down to your side, just for a little rest. That's a pretty big pose, that one. Go for the other side. Right foot comes in about 45 degrees, left foot straight out. And you can maybe put your lights on your hips and notice where your hips are facing. And that is perfectly fine to have the hips a little to the side. We want that. Send your arms out shoulder height, turn the palms upward, lift your arms overhead, clasp your hands together, point your fingers up, bend your front knee, lift your left heel, externally rotate that thigh, put the heel back down. Now the twist comes from the upper body. Think about the navel turning and letting your chest face straight ahead to 12 o'clock. Really press into that back foot and the front foot, lifting the kneecap, the back leg, And that tummy tucked under. Lift up, reach up. Very nice. Inhale, straighten out your left leg, turn your body to the side, and relax your arms down. Turn to face the top of your mat. Bring your hands down for lunge. Step back, downward facing dog. Right. Let's bring ourselves down to our knees. And then sit your hips back towards your heels. We're going to do a quick little side ab work here before we do our cool down. So shift yourself over to one side. It doesn't matter what side you're going to be on. You might want to double up the end of your mat to put your elbow down. And then just don't let yourself drop into the shoulder. Lift up by pushing your elbow into the ground. Your knees are going to be in front of you, but let's shift them back so that your knees are in the same line as your shoulders. Anyone likes that extra padding, you might want it underneath your bottom knee. Hand to the hip, other hand to the hip. I'm just going to lift the hips up and then lower, but don't touch the ground, and lift and lower, lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, hold here. You want a little extra work, you can take that top leg out. You can have the toe on the ground or keep the leg lifted. And you can also lift your other arm up. You're thinking about keeping that hip lifted. You can tighten that top leg, the kneecap, so whole muscles around the hips are activated. And then let's come down. You can just flip over to the other side. I'm going to just turn to the other side. Double up the mat. Find your comfortable position. Push the elbow down so you lift off the shoulder blade. Move the knees back so that they're in line with the shoulder. You might want that extra padding again. It can be kind of bony on the knees. Hand on the top hip. Push down to lift your hips up and lower, but don't touch down, and lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, and hold, hold. Keeping that hip up. You can also take the top leg out. You can have it to the ground or keep it lifted. You can point the toe to really tone the kneecap. Keep the outside of the hips hugging in. Yeah, you got it. Come on down. All right. Let's come to a seated position. And just bring your legs forward. And tone your legs. Keep the kneecaps lifted. So there's a sense of lifting up, not just kind of sinking towards the ground. So you're pushing your legs down. The knees straight up, toes up. Just a sense of lift. Here, let's put one foot to the floor, then the other. Shift your hips forward. We're coming down to the back. Bring your right knee in towards your chest. Bring your right knee over towards your right armpit. Grab a hold of your right foot, hands on either side of the foot. Any which way you can make that happen. Keep your right foot straight up towards the ceiling. You're in that happy baby pose, the 90-degree leg. Push the foot and the hand against each other to get some tension. And now release that tension, letting the right knee move closer towards the ground. And if your left hip hiked way up, you might want to just keep your left foot on the floor. You can sort of anchor your left hip at the same time, pulling the right knee down. Can you slide your left leg straight? And flex your foot, flex your left foot. Keep your left kneecap lifted, anchoring through that left leg. Awesome. Let's bend the left knee. Let go of the right foot. Put it down. Bring the left knee in. Bring it over towards the left armpit. Grab a hold of the left foot any way you can with the hands. Kick the foot towards the ceiling, 90-degree angle on the leg, happy baby. Push the hand and the foot towards each other, get some tension and shaking happening. And then release that tension, let go, and let the knee come a little closer towards the ground. If it felt okay for you to slide that other leg straight, you can do that. Really tone that right leg. Push the heel towards the ground. And then relax that. Put your right foot to the floor, your left foot to the floor. Slide both of your legs straight. Cross your right ankle over your left like you're going to do figure 4, and then let your right knee relax towards the ground. Now from there, bring your left foot to the floor. Bring your left knee towards you. Grab behind the thigh or in front of the shin. And just for a little bit of more stability here, you're going to move your right heel towards your hip, but it's not going to move. It's not going to actually move. You're just going to feel your hamstring kind of tighten and tone, and that might give you a little extra external rotation towards the right. You can push your right knee away with your right hand, pull your left knee in, keep your heel pulling down. And some brand new sensations there. And then let's let that go. Both feet to the floor, and then both legs straight to the ground. Cross the left ankle over the right knee, and just let your left knee relax towards the ground. Preparing for figure 4. Put the right foot on the floor. Bring the right knee towards you. Grab behind the thigh or in front of the shin. Now, without moving your foot, just make a muscular action to pull the heel towards the hip, and your hamstring will tighten and tone, and that will give you an ability to externally rotate the leg a little bit more to the left. Even push your left knee away with your left hand, pull the right knee in. And then let's let that go. Bring both of your knees in, hug them in, lift your chin, kick yourself forward, come into the rock and roll position, send your legs straight ahead, cross your right ankle, right shin over your left shin, and then from that position, bring your knees into a cross-legged position. But we're going to try to keep the feet flexed instead of just relaxing underneath us. We're going to flex them. It's just more of a box position. Lift up your left hip, kind of pull it back. Lift up your right hip, kind of pull the cushiony parts back. And then hands to either side of you. Lift up your heart. Just walk your hands forward just a little bit, not a lot. Take your elbows out to the side. And now can you bring your shoulder blades towards each other to kind of get a bit of an uplift feeling. And then bow forward and walk your hands forward as much as you can. So when we did that little bit of a back bend there, just to counterbalance a little bit of the rounding of the spine that happens when we do the forward fold. And then start to walk your hands back towards you. And then turn towards your right, twist, lifting, and twisting. And then release that twist. Take your legs straight out in front of you again. Cross your left shin over your right, flex the feet. And then just bring the knees in to keep the feet flexed. And then from there, lift the heart. Bring the hands forward just a little bit. Elbows out to the side, lean forward. Bring your shoulder blades towards each other. to get a slight back bend, and then walk forward from there, heart reaching forward, and then feel free to fold over. Keep the feet flexed, and as though the left and the right hips are hugging in towards that midline. And very slowly, let's start to walk ourselves back up again. Take a twist to the left, lifting tall as you twist. Hands to the center, roll your shoulders up, back and down, close your eyes. Turn your palms outward. Inhale to bring the palms in front of the heart. Hold the head to the heart, open the eyes, and lift your chin. Namaste, you guys. Have a great day. We'll get